This is Nicole Pantoja. It is April 7th, 2025, and I'm sitting here with Gaby Urdaneta and Lyzet Mejia in La Casita. Thank you for joining me today. May I ask you to state your full name?
My name is Gaby Urdaneta Zamora.
When and where were you born?
I was born in Caracas, Venezuela in April of 2006.
Tell me about your family.
I am an only child, but I never felt like I was an only child because I'm really, really close with all my cousins. I grew up in Caracas, and living in a not so affluent area kind of meant living with my whole extended family. So we all lived at my grandma's apartment with my grandfather, 3 of my cousins, both my uncles, my aunt, my mom and I. My dad left to the United States when I was 7 months, a year old, and we were reunited in Miami when I was 5. So basically for the first 5 years of my life, my uncles and my grandfather were like my father figures, but that made me extremely close to all of them.
What cultural traditions were important to you growing up?
Oh my goodness, that's really hard. There's so many. I would say one that really, really stands out to me is La Noche de los Deseos. So on the 21st of December, we would all get together and do El Espíritu de Navidad. So we would all make like a list of 21 desires or goals or dreams that we had for the next upcoming year. And then the next year after that, we would get together and cut up the slips. So like each line of paper would have a different question or goal or whatever. And we would burn all the ones that we had already completed and carry down the ones that we hadn't gotten to. And it was just such a fun way to get together with the rest of my family and like commemorate us being together and like what we all want for each other. A lot of the dreams were very family related. Like hardly any of them were individual, like, oh, I want to lose weight. Oh, I want to get longer hair or whatever. The majority of them were like, I want to help my uncle find a better job. I want to help my cousin pass her GED classes. Like they were all very family oriented. And it was always just such a fun night. We also prayed that night, and it's always filled with really good food, and we stay up late just talking. So,
How did you develop your cultural identity?
well, like I mentioned, I had the beautiful opportunity to grow up really closely with my family, and I had the opportunity to move to the United States when I was 5 years old. So living in Miami specifically made it really easily to continue to feel Venezuelan. I did start to get a little Cuban at one point because I only went to school with Cuban kids. But the rest of my family stayed back in Venezuela. And I would say by the time I was like 11 or 12, they all were finally able to migrate to the United States. But before that point, my parents just tried to make sure to only ever speak to me in Spanish. Like my parents both speak fluent English, but they only speak to me in Spanish ever. And I am so grateful for that because it's made me completely fluent and not just like at a child-like level. And then outside of that, my mom is a great cook and she just focuses on cultural foods. Like she doesn't really know how to make like American meals or nor does she want to. So she always just made ropa vieja and that sort of thing. Like arepas literally every single day. And that's carried on now. I mean, now here at college, like I still desayuno una arepa like basically every day. But yeah, I think my parents did a great job of maintaining my culture all throughout my childhood.
What was your experience as a Hispanic Latina person in high school?
So I got really fortunate because I went to a high school called Lake Lona High School in Orlando, Florida. And I moved right from middle school like to Orlando. So I went to middle and high school there. And it was basically all Hispanic people. And I say that I was really fortunate to do that because it's made me maintain my cultural identity so much. It's been such a fantastic way to make being Hispanic cool again. Like especially at the time I started high school, Bad Bunny started becoming like really mainstream and like everyone loved him. And being Hispanic wasn't like a weird thing anymore. Being Hispanic was cool. And there were a lot of Venezuelan people, a lot of Puerto Rican people, and a lot of Colombian people. So it was also an awesome opportunity for cultural exchange. Like I got to know other cultures. But they were a lot of Venezuelan people, which was always really fun. Like, we all have the same slang. A lot of our parents were friends, like, back in Caracas. So it's, like, super random that we all met up there. So I had that really awesome opportunity. And obviously there were other ethnic groups, but all the ethnic groups were pretty intertwined and all really accepting. It was a pretty liberal area, Lake Nona. And everyone was just super down to earth and, like, down to be friends with anybody else.
Can you tell us about your transition from high school to college?
Oh my goodness. If Lake Nona was melting pots of cultures, UF is the complete opposite. When I first got here, I would say I had a really hard time making friends, which is really odd for me because, to be super frank, I've always had a really easy time making friends. Like, just kind of go up to people, like, try to be kind of nice to them. If I think they're funny, laugh at their jokes, and that's it. Like, I have a buddy to sit with in class. Doing that here was so incredibly hard, and I've never felt, like, so much rejection. Outside of race and ethnicity, it's so much more than that. Like, it's just the way that people from Tampa versus the people from Orlando consider, like, socially acceptable to act. I can be a little bit out there and be, like, very frank with what I'm saying, and I think sometimes that makes other people uncomfortable, and especially non-Hispanic people uncomfortable. So I had a pretty hard time making friends when I first got here. I kind of just stuck with my 2 roommates. I've never been around so many white people, to be super honest. Like, never in my life had I been a real minority. Maybe when I traveled out of state, or I went to, like, one time I went to, like, a vegan camp in New Hampshire, and that was the first time I was like, oh crap, like, I'm Venezuelan. Like, I'm not like everyone else. And that really has stayed with me all throughout this last year at UF. It made me realize that, like, being a minority is not just something you hear in the news. People will treat you as if you are a minority, and you do feel excluded often.
Going back to your high school experience, how would you compare building community in your high school compared to building community at UF?
Oh gosh, I mean, there's so many factors. First, let me just say that in high school, I feel like you're forced to make friends with people. Like, you're in classes together all day. If you're in the same club as someone, you're seeing them every week. And everyone is essentially free after, like, 4:30 p.m. Like, we get out of school at 2:20, maybe clubs till 4:40, and then maybe the couple of kids who have, like, a sport, like, twice a week, like, late at night. But in reality, like, it's really easy to hang out with your friends post 4:40. In college, it is way more difficult to, like, find those gaps. So joining organizations and, like, first year organizations is, in my opinion, the easiest way to replicate that almost high school like experience, obviously with a new maturity level and new freedom and like a different perspective. It's not so, like, adult led, it's more student led, but it's a way to, like, find a group of, like, similar minded people who want the same thing than you. Like, when I joined MLP, I knew that these kids wanted to be my friends. Like, you joined MLP because you wanted to find a friend group, to find people to hang out with, and just to feel more comfortable walking around at UF. Like I mentioned earlier, finding community at UF became really hard for me because I felt like I kind of talked to people in my classes. They were semi-receptive, but it just never went anywhere else. Like, they were just not interested in being friends with me outside the classroom, or, like, for asking me, like, something about the test or whatever. So finding community here was much more difficult, whereas in high school, it just kind of sprouted naturally, because if you're with the same 20 kids 5 times a week for multiple hours, you're going to become their friend. Whereas in college, like, classes are just shorter and less often, so it's been a lot harder here at UF.
What was your first experience with anti-DEI legislation in high school?
So growing up in Lake Nona was such a unique thing because everyone was very, very upset when the first DEI legislations started to come out. I was really close to my speech and debate teacher in high school. I did speech and debate all throughout high school, and my speech and debate coach was, like, my best friend. Like, I was always in his classroom. Like, we would all go there during lunch and stuff. And I remember the day that he had to take down his pride flag. And we were all like, Coach A, like, why would you do that? He's like the biggest ally for anyone. Like, he always stands up for the little guy. He's like the sweetest man. And we were like, why are you doing that? And he was like, I could get in really big trouble if I don't. And I was like, what? And he kind of told us a little bit more about it. And we were all like, what the hell? Like, how is this acceptable? Like, don't we live in the United States? Like, isn't the idea, because we were just going through civics. We were like just learning about like our constitutional rights and stuff. And us, I think we were in like 9th or 10th grade, maybe 10th. We were like, what the heck? Like, we're supposed to be able to speak freely about these things because we live in the United States. The whole idea is that it's a free-flowing exchange of ideas, and we're supposed to be who we are with no shame because our government's supposed to be the complete opposite of oppressive. Like, it's supposed to be completely okay to be whoever you are. And Coach A was like, I know, like, trust me, I completely agree with you, but this is just the situation that we're in. And then we had the Don't Say Gay like protests in our school, which was during lunchtime. And I remember being so disappointed at the time because we were all like walking out of class to go do it. And I went, and I honestly felt really strongly about the cause. And a lot of people were just like making jokes of it. I mean, we were all like 15. I can't necessarily, like, how much more can you expect of 15-year-olds? But I remember being really disheartened that a lot of people weren't taking it seriously and kind of just saw it as an opportunity to skip class, because it made me feel like it was dragging down our cause. When you have like something you feel really passionately about and there's other people that are trying to jump onto the cause for non-genuine reasons, like just trying to skip class or have an excuse to like throw water bottles around or stupid stuff like that, it could be pretty disheartening. But that was the first time I ever heard of the term DEI.
So moving on to your college experience, why did you decide to go to college?
So for me, it's always been a non-negotiable to go to college. Both of my parents have their associate's degrees from Venezuela, and they've just always pushed education. Frankly, my parents have had a hard time guiding me with that education just because they don't know much about the American system. Like, they had no idea what a SAT was, and that's not to their fault. That's just like what happens when you grow up in another country. But my dad specifically has always made sure that I know the value of education, because the only reason he was able to leave a socialist regime was through education, because he had a pretty good job as an engineer and had the opportunity to like come to this country with a different engineering company and get us out. And my dad's just never wanted me to have to rely on anyone but myself, not him, not my mom, not any family member, not a husband, no one. He wanted me to be able to rely on myself. And therefore education has always been really, really important to me. And that always meant going to college. Like, I remember being in 6th grade and going to UF, like touring UF and being like, I'm going to go here. Like, this is the school I'm going to go to. It's just 2 hours from Orlando. It's the #1 university in Florida. Bright Futures will help me like be able to do this, because if it weren't for Bright Futures, I couldn't do this. And it was just like so certain to me, like, this is where I need to be. I also came back like a couple years later and did a speech and debate camp here, where I stayed at the Wrights Hotel for like a week. And I was like, okay, I definitely need to come here. Like, I remember walking around Plaza and just feeling like I was in a movie. Like, it's so American dream, like the red brick everywhere. And obviously, like, as a 6th grader, the look of it all meant so much more to me than like actually knowing like about the Bob Graham Center and like the opportunities that it was going to give me. But outside of that, I just always knew I was going to go to college. Like, my dad, when I was in, I don't know, I was like in 3rd or 4th grade, we were in Boston and he took me to MIT. And I remember I have a photo with the big like MIT letters. And he was like, you're going to go here one day. Like, you're going to go to college and you're going to be an engineer like me, which did not end up happening. I am not a STEM person at all. But like, it was just always very clear, like, you were going to go to college because why else did your parents bring you across a whole ocean? Like, you were brought to the United States to do what? Like, you might as well go as far as you can and push yourself as much as possible.
How did you choose your major?
So, like I mentioned, in middle school, I started speech and debate in 7th grade. My 6th grade English teacher, and I got pretty close. And then she decided to launch a speech and debate team because she saw I was pretty passionate about politics. And me and my best friend and like 3 other kids were the only people on the team. But it was the best. It was super fun. And we even got to go to nationals like in 8th grade, which was a really good time. But at that time, I did public forum debate, which is more, it's 2-on-2, so it's not as intense and not as necessarily political. It's more like research versus research, info versus info. And then in 9th grade, I decided I wanted to be a politician. And I told my debate coach, Mr. A, I would like to be a politician when I grow up. And he was like, okay, perfect. You need to stop doing public forum. We're gonna put you in congressional debate and you're gonna be the best and it's gonna be awesome. And I was like, okay, Mr. A. And ever since, like, I just knew that I wanted to study political science, to go to law school. And outside of necessarily like being an attorney, it's just the only thing that interests me. Like, that's what I would spend every single weekend researching all throughout high school. I did congressional debate until senior year, and it was like my whole life. Like, I went to nationals for it several times. I competed at Duke, at Emory. Like, it was awesome. It was so much fun. And I realized how scary it is to not know things. Like, I'd rather be very well informed and terrified than completely confused and lost and semi-happy. Like, I'd rather know what's going on and try to do something about it or advocate for the people that could do something about it versus just like sitting in that state of apathy. So I just knew I was gonna study political science, and I have a minor in sociology. So it's kind of a similar thing. Like, I've just always been very interested in human behavior, and I mean, ties in so well with politics. Like, why do people vote the way that they do? Why do they fear the things they fear? Why do they want the things they want? That's totally sociology, so that's how I decided that.
How has your first year experience been so far?
It's been really, really great. I'm really, really fortunate because I've had such a good support system through MLP, HSA, my mentor from MLP, and I just got really lucky with great roommates. Like, I've just ran into a lot of really, really great people. It's been really challenging, really, really, really challenging. Especially as someone that came in with her AA, I was immediately thrown into classes with 20 and 21-year-olds as like a freshly turned 18-year-old. And I was like, crap, oh my God, like, these kids are so smart. I need to catch up. So it was a lot of imposter syndrome the first couple of weeks. But after a while, I came to see that, like, I was just as capable as anyone else, and everyone was like also slightly confused. And that's the idea. Like, you need to be slightly confused to feel empowered to try to figure things out. And that it was all gonna be okay. But I've met a lot of really, really incredible people. I have a lot of really close friends from back home. Like, I have a group of 3 other girls that I'm like extremely close to, and I was like, I'm not gonna be able to replicate this anywhere. Like, I'm not gonna find friends that are any better than this. And I was honestly completely wrong. Sorry, hometown friends, but like, these kids are just like so passionate and like driven and hardworking, and it's just so inspiring. They're also so fun and like cool to hang out with. Like, it's so comforting to hang out with them. It feels like being at home. So yeah, I've loved all my classes. They've all been super duper interesting. It's been a really good time so far. I love being a Gator, honestly.
Awesome. How did you find community at UF?
So the first week, I was walking around. I was like trying to figure out where all my classes were. I came in, such a little nerd. I was like, okay, let me figure out where this hall is and this hall is, and let's time how long the walk is, so I see if I have time to pee between classes. Like, I was just trying to make sure that I knew my schedule. And I was walking through Turlington, and Alexis, my current director for MLP, was like, hey, you need to join MLP. And I was like, what's MLP? And he told me about it, and I met Gaby Urdaneta, who has the same last name as me, and she was like, hey, we have the same last name, and we're also both from Orlando. Let's be friends, join MLP, join HSA, it'll be lit. And I was like, whoa, like, these people are so nice. And I had felt so alienated those first couple of days because I went to a bunch of the freshman like welcome week events, and I didn't like it very much. I was really questioning my decision. I was like, I don't know, I just feel like I don't fit in with these kids. Like, they don't seem very interested in being my friend. Like, I kept going up to people and being like, hey, nice to meet you, I'm Gabby. And they would just kind of look at me like, why are you talking to me? Felt like someone, like most people kind of came in like with their friends pre-established, or like some friends from high school. And although some kids did come from my high school, definitely not anyone that ran in my circles. It was like some of the non-Hispanic, really smart, like more affluent kids that like came to UF. But of like my circle, like mostly Venezuelan, more middle class people. None of my friends came to UF. Like, I was the only one here. So I was like, oh crap, like I need to figure out what I'm going to do here, because am I going to go to these football games by myself? Like, and I'm someone who like needs to hang out with people to be happy. Like, I can't just be like in my own bubble all the time. So once Alexis and Lucy started talking to me, I was like, okay, I'm definitely applying to MLP. Like, these people, I feel like these people really get me. So I went to my interview and I met Maite, and I was like, whoa, she is so cool. Maite is my now director for MLP, my director of the whole program. And yeah, that's how I kind of found MLP, and I was so happy when I found out I got in. And funny enough, I got in with a girl I met at one of the freshman events. One of the only girls I liked, her name is Ashley. I met her at one of the freshman events, and I was like, whoa, you're really cool, we should be friends. And she liked how upfront I was about that. She was like, yes, let's be friends. We had hung out a couple times. And then we found out we had both gotten into MLP, and we were like, oh my God, perfect, now we're gonna be best friends. And everyone in MLP has just been so awesome, so yeah.
What has community looked like to you, and what does it mean to you?
I would say that community means having people that would miss you if you're not there. Community to me means having people to lean on when you're confused or sad or worried. I mean, we're all freshmen, like we all get pretty homesick pretty frequently, and it's really important to have people that help you feel like that's all going to go away really quickly and it's all gonna be fine because we have each other and we'll hang out and we'll keep each other company and we're still gonna have fun and make the best of it. To me, community is just knowing that you're not alone and that if you were gone, someone would be really worried about it. Like, I know if I don't show up to an MLP Monday, people are gonna be like, where's Gabby? Like, that's weird. Has anyone heard from her? Like, someone text her, someone call her. What's going on with her? Like, normally she would tell us. And yeah, like having someone to go to the football game with and feeling like they want you there. Because, yeah, like I could have gone with like any random person I met freshman week and they probably would have been fine with it, but it's knowing that people want you there.
So you talked about how you found HSA and MLP. To anyone who may be unfamiliar, can you please describe HSA to us?
Sure. The Hispanic Student Association is one of the largest student organizations here at UF. And basically, in my opinion, their mission is to make sure that Hispanic kids feel at home. We have one of the highest dropout rates, not just at UF, but nationwide. And why is that? Because we go from feeling at home at like Nona or any other person's hometown and feeling like you belong, like you are one of the bunch, like people would miss you if you were gone, and you come to this huge school with little to no academic support from your parents or any of your friends, because likelihood is your high school friends aren't there, and HSA is there to bridge that gap and make you feel like there are people who who are sharing in the same struggles that you are and who are willing to help you. And not help you in the sense that they're going to like help you study for your project, but in the sense that they're there to hear you complain, they're there to give you advice, they're there to just hear you out and make you feel like you're not alone in that problem. And a lot of the time that's more help than actually physically like helping me study for an exam. So in my opinion, HSA is just all about making sure that we all feel at home and uniting the Hispanic community and celebrating our culture, because our culture is such a beautiful thing. And I've never been somewhere with so many different nationalities of Hispanic. And it's been so fun, like seeing the cultural exchange take place right in front of my eyes and seeing like Bolivian kids and Ecuadorian kids and like Nicaraguan kids, and seeing everyone interact and like share their cultural foods or like their slang or their favorite musicians. And that's another really important part of HSA to me.
Why did it feel important to you to join?
I felt like it was the only place where I could, number one, find community, and number two, stand up what I believed in outside of my major. Because although HSA is not technically, like it's completely apolitical, it's all just about celebrating our culture. In this day and age, it feels as if being Hispanic and being loud and proud about it is inherently political. Like there's no way to not politicize that because of the way that our current administration is treating us, or like the discourse around the Hispanic community is also negative and derogatory, that I feel like it's never been more important to be loudly Hispanic and to feel pride in being Hispanic, because being Venezuelan to me is such a huge part of my identity and such a beautiful thing. Like it's something that I'm so proud of, and I think Venezuelan people are some of the sweetest, most hardworking, most I'm going to figure out a way to get there people on this planet Earth. And I asked myself, how am I going to make sure that other people know that and feel like I am exhibiting those characteristics as much as possible? And for me, that answer is HSA. Like being around other hardworking Hispanic kids that like see the importance of making sure that incoming freshmen and even like struggling upperclassmen have a place to feel at home and a place to feel like, okay, I'm not doing this completely by myself. A lot of us are first generation. A lot of us have basically no idea how college works. Like we know we take classes, we know there's some clubs to join, but like figuring out what classes you need to take what semester and the requirements to apply to grad school, and do I want to go to grad school or law school, and do I want to join this org or this org? Like it's all just so convoluted. And being an HSA is the one non-negotiable for me. It's the one like, I mean, of course I'm going to do it, because it's the only place where I can advocate by just being myself. So
you told us how you found MLP. Can you please describe more about your experience in the program?
Sure. So sadly, I did not get to go to retreat, which is like the first like event they do where everyone gets to meet each other, because it was my baby cousin's birthday, and I was really regretful because I was like, oh crap, like everyone's already gonna be friends, they're all gonna have friend groups, and I'm gonna be all left out. And I was like, oh, it's just gonna be like all my other UF experiences all over again. But I got to the first MLP Monday and I was immediately proven so wrong. Everyone was just so sweet. And I feel like that sounds so basic and boring, but like truly everyone was just so warm, so welcoming, so inviting. And all the directors were so excited for us to be there. And it felt like, okay, we're all here. We have to form a team. Like, let's all be friends now. It felt like so natural to be like, okay, we made it. Like, we got through the application process. We're basically all pretty lost at UF. Let's all be friends. And everyone was so nice and so accommodating. And they were also like curious about each other. And just to describe a little bit more about the program itself, Every MLP Monday, it's on Mondays, we meet from 7 to 9, and we have like a bunch of different things that we talk about. So we discuss upcoming events, and then we typically have another organization or alumni or some like the IMA committee come and discuss some topics. So we've had the Office of Political Affairs come in and talk about DEI legislation. We've had alumni, like our president from HSA, come in and talk about his experiences. We've had the founder of HSA from like 20-something years ago come in and talk about his experiences. So it's really like an opportunity to learn from other people with more knowledge and more information than you, to figure out how you feel about those topics and how that could affect like your next steps. And then we typically have like some fun activity that we do, typically led by one of the committees. So the other day we all made our own countries because we were discussing the importance of nationality and of national pride and of cultural identity. And that was a super fun activity because we were all being super silly with it, but it was also a really good opportunity to discuss everyone's individual nationalities and how they feel they've contributed to their identity. And then at the end, we have committee time. So we have a couple different committees inside of MLP. I'm in member relations. So I have one director and there's 7 of us under him. I'm actually his assistant director. And it's super fun. We basically discuss what we're going to do in the upcoming weeks, in the next month. We actually have thrown, I think, over 10 events now, whether they're small socials, like just us doing a run club or Friendsgiving, or even bigger events. Like we had a big Halloween extravaganza right here at Casita where we all just like played games, played Just Dance, ate some good food, like listened to music. So we discuss what we're going to do with that, and that's basically MLP. But outside of MLP Monday, we always have different events. We volunteer together. The SL committee does a fantastic job at providing us countless opportunities to like not only bond, but also give back to the Gainesville community and see who the people in Gainesville are that need help, because often you could get trapped in that like UF bubble. So that's always a fun time. We've made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, dog toys for them. We've worked at the Repurpose Project, that sort of thing. And then we always have some other event going on. Like we're always doing something. We have a field day. We have like a HWA event. We have something random going on, just to develop us as leaders, as friends, as individuals. Like it's just always really rewarding because you always get some information out of it, but it's also an opportunity to bond with other people and like just have a fun time.
Awesome. Could you describe a little bit more about your specific role in MLP?
Sure. So as assistant director, I basically help Alexis be the best director he can be. So whether that be every single MLP Monday, I take meeting notes just to make sure that everyone has like a good rundown of what event we're planning and like how much money we're gonna need, or who's gonna have to go bring what, or if someone's letting us borrow their speaker, or whatever. And then I send that back out, like I organize those notes and send them back out to the group chat, to our MR group chat, so everyone knows what they need to do. Like I give them each action items. And then outside of that, I help make sure that I'm making graphics to put on the MLP Monday slides so that they can advertise our events to the rest of MLP. And honestly, it's kind of also just an opportunity for Alexis to have someone to bounce ideas off of. So we only have MLP Monday once a week, and we all live very, very busy lives. But sometimes Alexis will just text me and call me randomly and be like, Gabby, I have this idea. What do you think? Do you think this is like a good idea? Should we change this? Should we add this? And I'm always just there to give him feedback and be like, oh yeah, it's a good idea, or no, we should change this here. And then also at the events that we lead, I'm basically the person like heading them. So for the Run Club, like it was basically completely my idea. I'm the one that sent it out in the Snap group chat, the Geneva group chat, and made the slide for it on MLP Monday. And the day of, like, I'm the one that got there first, I'm the one that brought the waters, like that sort of thing. I also help with like managerial tasks of like sending an email if we have to, or drafting it for him, or discussing with like other AEDs, trying to figure out like what joint events could look like. So yeah, that sort of thing, just helping Alexis in whatever he needs and doing like organizational type stuff.
How has MLP shaped your perspective on community?
MLP has definitely shaped my perspective on community so much because the only community I had before was very based around convenience. And in college, that's just not something that exists. Like, especially me and a lot of MLPers. Like, a lot of us do not live on campus. We don't live anywhere near each other, and we're all very, very busy. So if anything, it's quite inconvenient for us to be friends. Like, a lot of us like only have classes like on campus twice a week, or we're extremely busy with other organizations or that sort of thing. But where there is a will, there is a way. Like, we always find a time to hang out with each other, whether it's all of us hanging out at Marston until super late just studying, or all of us over at someone's apartment, like just watching a movie or something because we're all so tired and like don't want to go out. But it's such a good opportunity to like bond regardless. So I think community has shifted in my eyes because it's an opportunity to make friends with a lot of intentionality. Like, we're not just being friends because we see each other in 7th period every week and therefore we have to be friends. We're being friends because we want to go out of our way to get the most out of an experience and to push each other to be the best MLPers and the best leaders possible. Like, we all want to make sure that everyone else is just as committed as we are. So like, if someone's been missing like a lot of events, we'll all like go to them and be like, yo, like, are you good? Like, are you going in through anything? Like, do you need help with anything? We miss you. Like, we miss hanging out with you. We miss seeing your face. And that always has pretty good feedback, and we then get the opportunity to see them more. So community has always been a big part of my life, but MLP, I would say, is the first time that community is so intentional and like so easy to work on as a team.
Who are your mentors or supporters here on campus?
My biggest mentor is my MLP mentor / my bestie. Her name is Brianna Castro, and she is such an inspiration to me. I met her before I even applied to MLP. I went to the Ilumina Tu Camino like HLSA, like beginning of year HSA event, which is actually really sad because that event is like being questioned now because of DEI legislation. I know HSA will find a way to make it pull through, but that was the first day where, number one, I hung out with Ashley again, the girl that I met at the freshman events. And I got to hear about OPA, the Office of Political Affairs. And Bree did MLP last year, now she's in the Office of Political Affairs. And I just met her, and this is so unlike me, but she was just talking a little bit about OPA and like what else she does, like all the other extracurriculars she's in, like her major, what she wants to do with her life. And I was like, oh my God, can I get your Instagram? Like, I need to talk to you again. Like, I would like to be your friend. I would like to get some UF insight from you, and I would like to like hear from you, because I just knew it was an opportunity to be friends with someone that could push me to be better. And she just seemed like a really fun person to talk to as well. Like, she was just so funny. So I got her Instagram, and then like a month and a half later, when I was finally in MLP and we were looking for mentors, I saw her on the mentorship slides. And I was like, oh my God, this is the girl I met at the Ilumina Tu Camino event. Whoa, this is crazy. I need her as my mentor. I went on a lot of mentor dates with like 5 other people, and everyone was awesome. Like, everyone was super sweet. But she was my last date. Like, literally on the night of the submission deadline for like your rankings of who you wanted to be your mentor. And I was like, oh, immediately you. Like, immediately. We went to Playa and we got acai. Now I love acai and I love Playa bowls. But talking to Bree, we were there talking for like 3 hours. We got kicked out of Playa bowls. We were like, okay, like, you just get me. Like, you just understand me so well. And we need to be friends. And now we are friends. And she helps guide me with a lot of school-related things, like what classes should I take? Should I add this other minor? What year should I graduate? Like, how much prep am I gonna need for law school? Like, she just knows way more than I do. But she's also just such a fun friend. And I ask her for advice, like, oh, I'm fighting with my roommate about the trash not being taken out. Like, how should I go about it? Do you think this message is passive-aggressive? And she's just like, she feels like an older sister. Like, she's super fun to hang out with, and like, I love being with her, but at the same time, she is definitely someone I look up to and someone that whose opinion I really trust.
How does HSA foster a sense of belonging for you and your community members?
Oh my gosh, HSA is literally all about fostering a community for you. So already being an MLP with 40-something other kids, we all feel like we're friends. So inside of HSA, which is huge, I already feel like I have a community inside of that. And then inside of MLP, I have MR, member relations, which is like a whole even tighter knit community that I'm like, okay, these are like my closest friends in MLP. I just got really lucky that I just clicked with everyone in MR really well. And then outside of that, I was given a mentor. I found my mentor, and she's obviously community, and she has introduced me to so many other outside HSA people that have become community to me. So like whenever I'm at HSA events, I never feel like I'm alone. Even if my MLP best friends aren't there, like I always feel like I know somebody, and everyone's just so excited to see me. And that's having a mentor, specifically Bree, has been such a great way to meet the rest of HSA, because she wants to make sure that I feel like I'm a part of it, and like I know other people outside of just MLP. And she's been so helpful with that, like introducing me to everyone. And I think a lot of people know me now as like Bree's mentor, which I am completely happy with. So yeah, HSA does a great job at like making mechanisms and making systems to make sure that people know each other very well.
What was your first experience with anti-DEI legislation/actions on campus?
So, like I mentioned, like I am pretty up to date on what's going on in politics. So before I even saw it actually happen, I knew it was coming, because I saw the bills getting passed, and I was really, really scared to begin with. But once I started hearing my director for MLP mention that we don't have any funds for any like important event that we normally host, I was like, oh crap, like this is happening, and this is real, and it's happening to us, and it's here right now, and we need to do something about it quick. And it made me panic, and it made me really sad, because I started to think back on all the other years of MLP before me and how much MLP has grown, and how in order to have a well-established organization, you need money. Like that is the only way that you can make an organization that big work. No matter how student-led it is, no matter how much of our hearts is in it, you need money. Like people show up when there's food at the GBM. That's how life works. Like, and even for MLPers, like we have built such a beautiful community, and this year we could only get shirts instead of sweatshirts. And our graduation was completely on the line because we had no funding, like actually $0. And that was so appalling. But when I first heard about this, I think in like late October, early November, Maite, our director, was like, hey guys, I don't want to freak you guys out, but we're going to do this fundraiser. Please, please, please try to get your family to donate. And at the end of the day, that's the most ironic way of funding. I mean, I don't fault us. There's no other way to go about it. But our parents like spent so much time and money to get us here, like to send us here. And now we're here, and we're having this incredible opportunity to be part of this great thing. And we're not able to reap the fruits of our hard work. We still have to rely on them to get us there, to be able to have those opportunities and experience them fully. Whereas past years of MLP have been able to make the program more well established and like build on it, because I don't know, maybe in 10 years, we won't just have one MLP cohort. There's gonna be 2 or 3 cohorts per semester, because there's so many Hispanic kids on campus. Like there should be like a larger reach for MLP, but we're never going to get there if we don't have money to back it. And it's been such a beneficial opportunity for me. And I think if people or legislators understood like the impact that things like MLP have on students like me, it would be funded 10 times over. Like it would be so well funded, because being an MLP didn't just better my social life, it bettered my academic attainment. And it's going to keep me at UF for all 4 years. Like, it's going to anchor me down all throughout UF, and having that community, those opportunities, those contacts to like build yourself off of is literally the only way that we can help Hispanic students feel like their success is not impossible here at UF, because it's already so daunting. Like, it's such a good university and it's a difficult university. So how do we get Hispanic kids to not drop out, or to not change majors, or to not lessen themselves? And how do we get Hispanic kids to reach their full potential? We have to help them feel like it is possible. And the only way to do that is through orgs like HSA and MLP. Well, regardless, sorry, that's like my own 10 cents on the topic, but I definitely started noticing it or feeling it like in October, November.
What has the sentiment been among other first years regarding this legislation?
We feel wronged. Like, we feel like there's an injustice taking place, because we're like, wait, all these kids before us got it. Like, why don't we deserve it? What did we do wrong that we no longer deserve to be here? Because like I mentioned before, being an HSA is activism and semi-political, because we're just there, because we just exist. But there's nothing inherent about the program that should be having to do anything with like anything political. So why are we not allowed to? And even if it were, like, we're at a 4-year institution, like post-secondary school. Why do we not have access to funds that are going to help us succeed and thrive if you see this as a program that people love? So I think a lot of MLPers are disheartened. They're really concerned, or they're just confused, because it's really, really scary to hear that all this is happening. But as we continue to meet every MLP Monday, we don't see what's going on behind the scenes. Because of my mentor, I've had a little bit more insight as to what's happening and how it's affecting us. But I think MLPers either know and they feel really, really hurt or worried for the future of HSA, or they feel really empowered. And I think that's how I'm starting to feel. It's a two-sided coin, because in the beginning I was like, okay, this sucks. What's gonna happen to HSA? This is horrible. And then I really started thinking about it, and I was like, the only way that things ever improve is through people being upset about something. Like, if we were all like apathetic about this and we were all just like, oh, well, that would get us nowhere. Like, the idea is for us to continue to find out what's happening. And that's why I'm so happy like HSA is doing something about this and like taking action, because we need to know what's happening, because the only way we're going to want to speak up or act or help our community is because we're angry, because we're worried, because we want to take action, because we're concerned. So I think the average MLPer right now is just scared.
How familiar were you with the political environment at UF regarding anti-DEI legislation before you came to school here?
I would say actually not at all, which is pretty jarring, because I feel like anyone coming to UF next year, like any incoming freshmen for 2025, are definitely going to be aware of the political situation on campus. But I don't think at all. I think I just assumed like it's a 4-year institution. It's a really, really good school. And typically that kind of means that they're very accepting of diversity and equity initiatives. Because that's just the role. Like, higher education makes you understand that like diversity is the thing that makes us so powerful and so beautiful. And that's what they taught us in 8th grade civics class, you know, like that was the whole idea. But I think I had no clue.
As a first-year student, how do these anti-DEI actions and rules make you feel?
I feel like I'm not wanted here. I feel like I wasn't supposed to come here. Like, for so long, I was so sure that I wanted to come here, and now I feel like there's someone else who had a different opinion. Like someone that I don't know, way higher up with way more power than I have, that didn't want that to happen. And if they did let me in, which, I mean, I'm here, they wanted me to accommodate to them. They wanted me to assimilate to them, to their culture, to their vibe, their life experiences, and that's just impossible. Because that's just not what I've been through. It's not who I am. And I feel like they want me to at least be quiet about my identity.
Has this impacted how you view HSA?
I think at the beginning of the year, I just saw it as, this is an opportunity for Hispanic people to meet Hispanic people. Like, for Hispanics to be friends with Hispanics, for Latinos to meet other Latinos, and that's it. But as the year went on, I realized HSA was so much more than that. And that just being part of your culture is a statement.
Before we continue, would you like to take a break, get some water? No? Okay. What is HSA doing in response to anti-DEI legislation? What have you seen HSA do in response?
So HSA, and like I mentioned, I have a little bit more knowledge about what's happening because of my specific position. I don't know if the average MLPer would be aware, but I know that they've been in contact with the rest of cabinet, which is like a essential part of like the body of HSA, like the main people who attend the general body meetings and who like run the functions of HSA. They were informed about what's going on with DEI and like the possibility of the first year, like beginning of the year concert festival thing being taken away, like the assembly. And they discussed that, and I don't know if HSA has decided yet, but either they're going to join with student government and hope that the Roots agency takes it over, but then we would lose a little bit of power over the event, or we could become a nonprofit organization, which is a whole other situation. But that would make us eligible to like receive funding from other sources. So I think those are their two options right now, at least regarding the assembly. Outside of that, I mean, MLP has been fundraising like crazy, and we did a fantastic job. Like for our MLP graduation, we fundraised over $2,000. So I'm really, really excited for that. And on top of that, HSA is going to be hosting museum nights, which is an opportunity for us to discuss the things that are happening, why they've happened, and how we got here. Outside of just discussing like our history as an organization and why a place like Casita is so important, or why I'm also part of Sabor, the Hispanic Student Association dance team, and why having them show up to events or them just existing is so important to us and how they got here. So discussing all of our histories, kind of just uniting all of us and giving us an opportunity to talk about what's happening and how we all feel about it, and that's what Museum Nights is going to be all about. And I think, I mean, I've heard of a couple of other things that might happen, but I think that's as far as I feel comfortable enough, like information-wise sharing. But I know HSA feels extremely concerned about this. It was a lot of the presidential candidates' platforms, like figuring out what's going to happen with DEI and making sure that we don't feel ashamed of being Hispanic and that we can continue to be and just be together without shame.
How do you feel about the way HSA leadership has tackled anti-DI actions and legislation against the Hispanic Latina community?
I feel really proud because they are college students. Like, they're not adults working a full-time job, but that's how they act. Like, they're basically leading the organization as if it was a company, which is insane and something that legislators like don't know. And even that the like other universities or our university doesn't really acknowledge and understand like how difficult it is to run an organization so big, so vast. So I feel really, really proud of them. I want to make sure that all the MLPers who are like, I guess the lowest level of HSA know what is happening and how scary it is. Because like I said before, the only way to get people to act is by scaring them. Like, if we don't know anything is happening, we're not going to show up and rally to save Casita. We have to know that these things are happening. But overall, I would say HSA has done a great job. I know that behind the scenes, they're meeting constantly to try to figure out what the next step is, and I'm very appreciative of that.
How do you want to be more involved in ways that combat these issues? How would you want to incite change?
I want to make sure that everyone at every level of HSA knows what's happening and has an opportunity to voice their opinion about how it makes them feel. And I guess that's what I'm doing right now with this interview. But I want to make sure that everyone, especially the MLP, knows why we're being threatened and how we're being threatened. And I think the only way to come up with a solution or like to fight back against it is through coalition. And the only coalition we have is like the rest of HSA, but we're not uniting cabinet and MLP to like come up with a solution. It's difficult. I mean, it's an executive board decision at the end of the day, but I think, Museum Nights hasn't happened yet, but I know Museum Nights attendance will be best if people are worried and scared. And they've done a lot of like Instagram posts and that sort of thing that all the MLPers repost, and like it's been widely touched on through social media, but not so much through like in-person conversation. And the sentiment I've heard a lot is we don't want to scare people. And I completely disagree. I think we should scare people because it's the reality, and we're not 10-year-olds. Like, yes, we're freshmen, a lot of us, but we're also adults. Like, we'll figure it out. And it's the only way. Like, I know that even back in October, if we knew what was happening more, we would have fundraised more money because I would have been more diligent about sending it to my whole family group chat, this whole other group chat. Like I would have been more worried and concerned about us having funds, and therefore would have put in more effort to contributing to those funds versus being like, oh, like beginning of the year fundraiser, whatever. Like, it's not for anything. It's like just something they do every year. So yeah.
What do you wish the general public or people not intimately involved in HSA or MLP knew about what is happening?
I want people to know that we are being treated like we're doing something bad for just being ourselves. And I think that is the most anti-American thing I've seen happen in a long, long time. Because, like I said, HSA is apolitical. Like, we do not talk about politics in HSA. Right now a little bit more because they're happening to us regarding our funding, but like as a whole, we don't have a news segment where we just talk about like politics at GBMs. The Office of Political Affairs is obviously political, but they're more about like informing people and getting people to vote, and not so much about trying to sway people one way or another. And legislators and regular people too, like just voters that voted against us, think we are doing something bad for just existing and being ourselves. And the whole idea of the United States is like that we are a beautiful melting pot of cultures and like we all come together. And that's what makes the US so great.